500 milliliters. That's the water cost of one ChatGPT query, if you believe the figure that's been circulating since 2023. It comes from a real study. It has a university name on it. It ran in the Washington Post under the headline, "AI Guzzles Water." It is off by approximately a factor of 100. So what is AI's actual environmental cost, and who is paying it? Is this a per-query story, where your choices in the browser add up and individual behavior matters? Or is the cost landing somewhere else entirely, through a mechanism most people have never been told to look at? Those two versions have completely different implications. If it's per query, behavior change is the response. If it's systemic, the bill lands on people who never opened ChatGPT, and the right response is regulatory, not behavioral. I want to know which one it actually is. The per-query framing seems plausible. AI models are computationally heavier than web searches. The study the 500 milliliter figure traces to is real, peer-reviewed, with actual scientists attached. Companies haven't disclosed their per-query footprints, so when the Washington Post ran that headline, it confirmed what people expected, that AI use has a cost you're personally incurring, one prompt at a time. I went back to the original paper. The title is Making AI Less Thirsty. The 500 milliliter figure never appears in it. The paper estimated 10 to 50 milliliters per 10 to 50 responses in a session, with water accounting pulled from different methodological scopes. The Washington Post's number required collapsing those scopes, misreading per response as per query, and performing a unit conversion the paper never made. You can check this yourself. The PDF is public, and the methodology is right there in it. The study is real. The headline was invented downstream. Epoch AI, an independent research organization, puts a typical ChatGPT query at about 0.3 watt-hours of electricity. A peer-reviewed measurement study from the University of Rhode Island clocked short GPT-4o prompts at 0.42 watt-hours under controlled conditions. Both describe less energy than your laptop uses in 3 minutes. The water equivalent, at a modern data center cooling facility, is a few milliliters at most. The number was wrong, but every time someone corrected it, the correction traveled in one direction only. See, AI isn't that bad. Something about that move felt like a setup. Here's the catch. All the world's ChatGPT-style text queries combined used approximately 2% of AI data center electricity in 2025. But the other 98% is going somewhere. No company discloses where. That gap is where the actual story lives. The International Energy Agency documented that data centers consumed 415 terawatt-hours of electricity in 2024, roughly 1.5% of all electricity generated on Earth. It's growing at about 12% per year, 4 times faster than overall electricity demand. US data center electricity is projected to grow 130% by 2030. This is not a story about individual prompts accumulating. It's a grid infrastructure story. PJM Interconnection runs electricity to 65 million people across 13 states, from Chicago to Washington, D.C. In 2025, they held their annual capacity auction for the 2026 delivery year. Clearing prices jumped from $28.92 per megawatt day to $269.92, a 9-fold increase in 12 months. That's the kind of line chart that doesn't look real until you check it twice. PJM has a court-appointed independent market monitor, a body called Monitoring Analytics, with no commercial stake in the outcome. Their analysis found data center load growth drove 63% of that price jump. That translated to $9.3 billion in added costs, assessed against every household and business on PJM's grid for 2025 and 2026. I pulled up Virginia's State Corporation Commission rate order from November 2025. The SCC approved a monthly bill increase of $11.24 for Dominion Energy residential customers starting in 2026. The order's own language cites data center infrastructure build-out as the driver. If you're a Dominion customer in Virginia, that started showing up in your 2026 bills, with no line item explaining why. The SCC also created a new rate class, GS5, for customers drawing 25 megawatts or more. The data center tier, required to pay minimum demand charges going forward. The residential increase covered costs already incurred. The new rate class covered future ones. The sequence tells you something. The $9.3 billion is not a projection. It cleared the 2025-2026 auction and began flowing to ratepayers. Virginia families saw $11.24 added to their 2026 bills. Data centers caused a ninefold capacity price jump in a single year. U.S. data center electricity is still projected to grow 130% by 2030. The bill you're looking at now is the small one, which means the infrastructure build is far from finished. So here's where this is heading. If the bill you can already see is the small one, if a ninefold price jump is just the opening move, then the question stops being whether AI has an environmental cost and becomes how much it costs you and who signed you up for it, which means the number that matters was never the one on your screen. Here's the answer to the question. At the individual query level, the cost is small. The viral math was wrong by a factor of 100, and direct measurement confirms it. At the systemic level, the cost is real, large, and already landing in household electricity bills through a mechanism most people have never heard of. They call it the capacity market. The per-query debate isn't an honest accounting error. It's a frame. It points your attention at your browser tab while the actual bill shows up in the mail. Hannah Ritchie, a researcher at Our World in Data, published an analysis in May 2026. Her finding? All of the world's text queries accounted for around 2% of AI data center electricity in 2025. The other 98% went to model training, image and video generation, API services, applications companies don't publicly disclose. The debate about how many Google searches equals one ChatGPT prompt ignores 98% of what's actually consuming electricity in AI data centers. Carnegie Mellon modeling projects. Data center growth will raise the average US electricity bill by 8% by 2030. The IEA and United Nations University both project global data center electricity reaching around 945 terawatt-hours by 2030, roughly double 2024 levels. That's the trajectory even before the data center queue in places like Northern Virginia gets fully built out. The American slice of that is already enormous. Pew Research Center reported that U.S. data centers pulled more than 4% of the country's electricity in 2024, and that a single AI-focused hyperscaler can draw as much power as 100,000 homes. The same modeling that put the bill increase at 8% has total data center demand climbing 350% by 2030. Those aren't prompt-sized numbers, they're power plant-sized numbers. Then there's what Microsoft disclosed in its own sustainability report. Total emissions rose 23.4% against the 2020 baseline through fiscal year 2024, a rise Microsoft attributes to AI and cloud expansion. This is the same period the company signed massive renewable energy contracts. Renewable energy certificates allow companies to claim clean power on paper. The physical electrons on the US grid in 2024 were still more than 40% natural gas, about 24% renewables. The gap between the press release and the grid is not a technicality. I looked up my own state's grid operator load forecast and searched for data center load in the public filings. Outside Virginia and the DC Metro, most residential customers have no line item connecting their electricity cost to data center demand. The $9.3 billion cost transfer across PJM happened through a capacity auction most of the 65 million affected customers never knew existed. The AI environment debate has been structured to make you think the right unit is your personal query count. It's not. The right unit is the grid infrastructure AI requires. Who's building it, where, under what regulatory terms, and who pays for it. That's a regulatory story, a political story, not a personal behavior story. Optimizing your ChatGPT use for environmental reasons is like unplugging your phone charger to offset a factory running next door. The scale is wrong by several orders of magnitude. The frame was wrong before you were handed it. If I were you, here's what I'd watch for. The next time your state's utility commission opens a rate review, or any proceeding about large new power customers, look at what's driving the request in PJM territory, in Virginia, in Arizona and Texas, where data center queues are massive. The driver is almost always the same load growth. The transparency isn't coming from the AI companies. It's coming, slowly, from the regulatory proceedings most people assume don't concern them. The next time you see a per-query AI environmental figure, water per prompt, grams of carbon per search, ask what percentage of AI's total electricity that query traffic actually represents. The answer is 2%. The other 98% is why your power bill is going up. 500 milliliters per prompt. That figure was wrong. The actual per-query water cost is a few milliliters at most, but there is a real bill. It didn't show up in your browser. It showed up in the mail, addressed to 65 million households across 13 states, in the form of a capacity market assessment most of them never heard explained. The bottle of water was the misdirection. The electricity bill was the receipt. That's the memo. Read.